Hey everybody, welcome to another Soulstone Survivors walkthrough. So what we are going to be trying today is we are actually going to be trying a all shout only Huntress bow build. So basically, you don't have any options as far as what skills you're given. You're only given 3 different options every time when you level up. It can be either passives or active skills. However, until you fill up all of your active slots, you don't get to choose if you want to swap into passives. So that means that we're not going to be able to start with all 5 buffs, but we're going to try to get there and see if luck holds out with us. So out of all of the locations, I think if I had to bet on it, I'm going to say the Caves of Dalzog are the easiest to actually see the poison from the snakes once you get to that point. So I'm going to choose this and start it off. So basically the main benefits of going with a simply buff character with this bow skill specifically is that this skill scales very hard. You have multiple options in order to get multi-shot, repeating shots when you make your attack. And if you get, I believe it's just simply 4 of them, you actually never stop shooting. And you can scale your attack speed, your crit chance, all of that specifically with this skill. So what we do with that is once we get that rolling, we're actually going to increase movement speed here so we can actually survive if we need to dodge something. But anyways, once you get your skill rolling a little bit, get some shouts, you tend to tear through not only mobs but also the boss very quickly. The only other build that I've done so far that does a really good both boss and AoE damage is actually a full ignite. Oh, here's our first buff skill. Is a full ignite wizard where the entire point was I would stack up to about 200 burning stacks on the boss and let him tick away at 10k or so every tick. While I just laugh and run away. That is not what we're going to be doing here. It's going to be a little bit more direct damage that we're going to be aiming for. Oh, and I'm getting stuck here. Purposefully not dying if I can help it. Alright, so Doom would not be too terrible for stacking up high procs on the boss. But ultimately, what we want to go with is attack speed. We want to be attacking as fast as possible, and we are going to just hope and pray that we get the legendary skills for repeating shots. As you can see, the base crit for this, at this point, since we have to aim our shots anyways, Frostbolt actually works quite nicely because it allows... here we go. So we increase shoots damage by 30%. That's one of the more common rolls I seem to be getting with this primary skill, is being able to just buff the damage by 30%. I think the highest I got, the Hunter's Bow basic shot 2 was level 13, which was critting for anywhere between 1200 and 1700 damage per shot, and I never stopped shooting, and it was repeating 4 times every time. So there's some high ability in that skill. You just have to know how to use it, or get lucky enough to actually get the right skills. There's our second skill. Second skill we're actually going to keep long term, that is. And the reason that we're taking them right now instead of waiting until we fill up our bar is actually because the more buff skills you have, the higher chance you have of getting the buff augments, basically, as far as secondary skill choices. So as you can tell, we just melted through that elite very quickly. We're going to go with chilling arrows here. We're going to be losing our frost, what is this called? Frostbolt. We're going to be losing our frostbolt eventually. And when we do that, it's going to be really nice to be able to kite. There's our third buff skill. All right. As long as you have at least plus 14% movement speed, you can actually walk out with your base movement speed. You can walk out of all of his AoE attacks. The only thing you have to watch out for and be super conscious of is the poison stacks, because he throws them up in the air so it doesn't look like they're going to go where they actually go. Alright, we're going to go with ranged increase. That is going to stack. It's not multiplicative with our damage, but that's okay. And I don't know why this isn't picking up. Main concern once you get to this stage is, of course, we don't have a good option here, so we're going to go with thrust for the bleed specifically. Alright, attack speed up again. As I was saying, the main concern you have right here are actually the zombies that run at you with the barrels that explode on their backs. Alright, there's our first buff sub-skill. So you have to watch out for the barrel. Okay, so now we can start replacing it. Oh, perfect. So we can continue buffing our main skill. As you can tell, it's critting now for 161, and that's just base. Once we get might and once we get our armor pen buff skill, it will be hitting quite a bit harder. Alright, crit chance, it's never a bad thing. If you saw the crit there for 1,000, that was not the primary skill. I believe that was my thrust. Alright, we're going to powerful strikes because that will do the same effect that the increased critical. Yep, there was thrust, critting for 1122. So how do you avoid the minions with the barrels on their back? Well, there is a feature, I believe it's a feature, doesn't seem to be a bug, that when minions are off-screen, or enemies are off-screen specifically, they gain increased movement speed towards you. Now, what this means is that you will never be able to fully outrun them, because the faster you run, the faster the spawning enemies will run to catch up to you. Once they get within your vision, it seems like they are unable to get that movement speed increase again. So you can use that to your advantage. Alright, so the main basic ability of Shoot applies fragility for 10 seconds. And it applies on every single arrow, every single hit. Now what is nice about this is that it stacks, which means it'll do higher and higher increased damage. Now, Gangrene, specifically, every time we apply Fragility, now we have a 50% chance of adding a stack of bleed, which increases our critical strike chance. You cannot get higher than 100% critical strike chance. It doesn't go into, like, criticals, essentially. which is something that some games have. Most games refer to it as like luck shot or something like that. Specifically, Gunfire Reborn has a ability that if you get the higher luck shot or lucky shot chance you have, the more damage you deal when you actually do have your luck proc. So we've now increased the potency of our Bloodlust skill by 60% total. It is not multiplicative, I believe it's additive. So what that means is that when we gain our 25% increased movement and attack speed, it is now, alright, Intimidating Shout, there we go. So we're getting our buff skills increased. Not exactly what I wanted. I would prefer at this point to actually have a repeating shot to make our basic shoot active skill basically deal an additive damage. So here we go. So this is the first of what I hope to get at least a couple more times, is that all of my skills, which is shoot and thrust at this point, will be repeated one more time when activated. So what this means is that since our shoot is activating on a cooldown of 0.5 seconds, which is getting faster as we increase our attack speed, it will actually proc twice. There's a slight delay in it. It isn't instantaneous, but we should be shooting once every 0.5 seconds and then once every 0.1 second approximately after it. So you'll see that here. Alright, we want to... This is basically useless because we're going to be getting rid of Frostbolt. So we don't want to go with the one that seems the most advantageous at this time. Alright. We dodge the poison. That's the main concern, is that especially as we get higher in levels, that poison shot is the most dangerous thing that he can do. Alright, so we're actually going to get Piercing Shout here in order to reduce their armor. It's going to be really nice. We're actually going to swap it into the Frostbolt skill, so it's a really good thing that we didn't get that Frostbolt upgrade, because we would have just made it completely useless. Alright, so let's talk about the guys with the exploding barrels on their back. Definitely the most frustrating character to start dealing with when you first start, especially when you're playing the melee class, because they always seem to be running way too fast for you to get away from them, and they always manage to hit you and throw you off, and if it gets really bad, they can bounce you. If you run past an elite and they proc up their skill shot at that time, it will continue to go off unless they die. So basically, if you get knocked away by one of the enemies with a barrel, then you can actually be knocked into the stun of an elite monster and basically get insta-killed. No matter how tanky you are, I found this out the hard way. I went tanky on a character and had about 190 health. Thought I was doing pretty decent. I got knocked one bad way and died within seconds. I was stun locked until death. It didn't help that the boss was right there and then just dropped a bunch of poison on me. So probably my fault for bad location, and I was not watching where the barrels were, but that is why I'm here now to talk about it. So, barrels. They always run at you from off screen, they accelerate up to where you are, and then once they catch up to you, they slow down. So, what is the best way to avoid them? Speed. Lots and lots of movement speed. So, you don't need to go crazy with your movement speed. However, what I can say is that getting probably up to 40% movement speed is helpful. Getting stuff past that just makes the game a little bit easier. So as long as you're scaling your damage and able to kill enemies in a decent amount of time, then scaling your speed has no downsides. Well, I suppose one downside that you could actually have is running too fast, getting yourself into trouble because you run into danger, basically. Where you thought you dodged something because you thought the red circle filled up. Well, it turns out it didn't, and now you're dead. So, that is something to watch out for. Something you don't want to have to deal with. But, if you are paying attention to where you're running, speed is not detrimental. Alright. That is our second chill stack. So now we have a 40% chance of proccing chill on every attack. Well, we are attacking very quickly. And it allows us to basically have time to just rest. We can stop running and just shoot enemies and doing just fine. There's our buff skill. So we're going to swap out our thrust for our last buff skill. And now we have 90% damage reduction. We don't want to have to use it, but it's useful when it comes up. Should keep us alive. If a situation gets really hairy, you use all your dashes and you can't get through an enemy block. Just hope that your shield is up and keep on moving. Never stop if you can help it. Stun locks will kill you. Also getting caught on terrain. This game is very well put together for what it is. However, if you run into here, you'll get caught between the pillar and the wall. Same on the other side here. This pillar right over here. If you stand right there, you will get caught. Alright, well, and I just walk into poison. That's nice. Alright. Got the health, even though it was off screen, in order to get my health back up. Alright, there's our big baddie. Kill some explodey dudes that spawn. They tend to spawn in waves, so if you can clear them out, you usually don't have to worry too much. If you're trying to fight the boss, or a tough elite or something like that. Alright, here's where it would be really nice if I actually had the triple shot, but we'll take what we can get. We had our buffs proc at the same time, and we were able to burn him down. What I'm really hoping here is I would like to get a second repeating shot, so it repeats twice every time I take a shot, and I would like to get another 15% increased attack speed. That's the dream. We'll see what we get, but for now, we're in an okay spot. Alright, so what do we want to get? Ooh, well, the buff potency does not impact us that much since it already blocks 90% of damage. So we're actually going to go for the agile for the rare power. That will help us just stay a little bit further ahead too. Combined with our slows, we can run through a group, and they really don't have too much of a chance of hitting us unless we get caught on their models, which is what happened there. Alright, just dash through. Circle them, circle them. Try to gather them up, so that way all of our arrows hit. In order to not lose out on any damage, you don't want to be missing with any of your 3 arrows that you shoot. Alright. That would have possibly killed me if I had actually got caught in that. Another thing that seems to happen is that as you get damaged, your attack speed inherently slows. I don't know if that's a bug or a feature, but it's something I try to avoid, especially when you're on an auto-attacking class like this. Alright, so that was worthwhile to run through the mob like that because we had our shield up in order to absorb 90% of the damage that we did take. So we took a total of 9 damage. Well, that basically allowed us to walk away nearly scot-free. We're going to add Doom now. So this will actually help as our attack speed has gotten higher. It will help just finish off any low health enemies because they'll hopefully have a few stacks of Doom on them. Like this guy. He's got a couple stacks, I think. He's got more stacks of bleed on him than anything else, but we're getting there. Bleed doesn't seem to be as effective as burn, but it definitely lasts a lot longer, so you can stack it up much higher, which is a very nice compromise in builds like this, where it might actually be hard to hit him because of all the mobs. If I was going to do a burning build or something like that with meteors or possibly the mage's secondary weapon skill, you don't have to worry about creatures around you because you will hit all of them and inflict burning on all of them. However, that's not something we have the advantage of with this character. Now, if we were attacking a little bit more, had some more attack speed, we wouldn't have as many mobs. It would actually be easier to get to that point of murdering all of them. Alright, poison. So there was a point where a explosive barrel nearly threw me into a meteor, which would then throw me into something else. I just don't want to get anywhere near that. So I'm going to take a little bit slower. Keep my health up. Keep from getting hit. Pick up the gold when I can. Stutter stepping in order to try to hit the boss. We got him. What I had to do there was basically find an opening in all the mobs, because the mobs will always move slightly faster than the boss will, especially when you're doing slowing attacks. So what you want to do is just circle until you can find an opening, especially if you're using a character like this that's ranged, squishy, and you definitely don't want to be anywhere near getting your face smashed in by all of these enemies. Oh boy. So that could have been really bad. Wound is going to be quite nice because we already proc so many statuses. So now we're adding another status that increases the effect of other statuses with every crit, which we are attacking a lot and critting quite a lot, so you can count on wound being definitely there. Now's the time when getting gold is actually worthwhile. Another 170 enemies to kill before we summon the last boss. Not a fast run, that is for sure. I can guarantee you it is not OP as far as builds go. If I was doing a Rain of Arrows build, this probably would be a lot faster. A lot faster. But we've got our buff skills, and sometimes buffed support characters is all you need. Because that's what I'm feeling like right now. Oh boy. Not wanting to run into that. Too many bodies. Blocked way too easy. My goal here is to lure them up. Try to stutter step a little bit to get as much damage off as I can. Dodge the explodey boys. Run through and collect these. Alright, suppose we'll take it. 55 enemies to go. Now the nice thing is the explodey boys, they die in one hit, so definitely easy way to get your numbers up. Would not want to go against an entire wave of them specifically, but yeah, we'll take what we can get at this point. Alright, there's our Plague Bringer. So we got 100 stacks of bleed on him. And then he got swarmed by all of his little minions. So we're gonna let him walk away a little bit. Might be worthwhile actually to stop shooting at the minions. As I said, they always run faster than the boss, so if we kite away from the boss, we can run back to him and actually have a little bit easier time getting him, hitting him from a range standpoint, especially since we don't have any piercing or anything like that. Now he is exceedingly slow with had 192 chill stacks on him. This character would be really nice if you were playing with a friend or something like that that wanted to get in close and didn't want the boss to be able to move. However, we're also running a little low on health, so we're just going to run over to this side, top up, and we're full again. Alright, there's our boss. He's momentarily free from having a group of minions around him. Hit him again. Alright, got up some bleed stocks, only 52. Here's a nice little hole. Nope, hole got filled in. Alright. Flat 15% increased damage. Not bad. There we go. That is your 5 buffs and 1 skill. Bloodlust, Might, Intimidating Shout, Piercing Shout, and Shield Wall. Now we just need to find where his crystal went. But it doesn't look like he dropped one. Alright. I guess we're just, this build is too good, so they decided we don't actually need any crystals. Well, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Hopefully my random mumbling and droning on forever explained some stuff. And I hope you learned something and maybe try out the game. It's fun. Until next time. Bye.